4 years of podcasting, 199 episodes in the can. Here's 7 lessons that I've learned from those 199 episodes. Number 1, closed mouths don't get fed. What do I mean by that? If you want something, you have to ask for it. Any single guest that I've ever had on this podcast, nobody has ever contacted me and been like, hey, can I come on? Not one single person. I've had to contact each and every one of them. Now, there's a few things that go with that. 3 specifically. You can get told yes. You can get told no. Or they'll read your message or not read your message and just not respond. Either 3 of those I'm good with, but nobody is ever going to reach out to you and come save your show or just hand you something. You have to ask, and it's either going to be a yes, a no, or maybe next time, kid. And I'm cool with either one of them. I enjoy the no's that I get in terms of coming on this podcast more than the yeses, because it makes me just want to work harder and try to get more people. I've been holding on to this one for quite some time for people that if you have a podcast, I'm going to put you on game on how to get actual guests, prominent guests. Humanize them. Send them a message, a video, and specifically a video. Don't just write out a message and send it, because then you're like the thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of other DMs that they have. Send them a video with your camera in front of your face. Introduce yourself, who you are. Tell them that you run a podcast. Tell them that you like their stuff. Tell them that you don't want anything from them apart from their time. I have been able to land so many freaking guests by just saying that. I don't say, hey, how's it going, Cam or Cody? I'm a huge fan. I just absolutely love your stuff. It would be a freaking honor to have you on the show. Will you please come on to the show? This would be such a big deal for me. I know that you're really busy, but will you please come on? I love your stuff. I've read all your books. No, don't fucking take that approach, because every single buddy else takes that approach. And I just don't recommend it, because it doesn't fucking work. Not that I've ever done it, but I know that it doesn't work, because now you're just another fanboy. You need to humanize these people. Just treat them like anybody else. Treat them like if you were to meet somebody at a coffee shop. Ain't nobody on this internet thing better than anybody else. They're not. And that's how I treat these folks. Nobody that I've ever talked to on the show is better than me. And I'm not better than them. And we treat each other accordingly, which is why people want to come on and talk. Closed mouths don't get fed. If you want something, go get it. Ask for it. The worst thing that's going to happen is them to say no. Fuck it. Lesson number 2. I love this one. I'd like you to go back, if you haven't listened to it already, episode 182 with Bo Ryan. He said something to me that really stood out during this podcast, and I've implemented it in my life big time. The quote from him is, never miss an opportunity to shut the fuck up. What does that mean? It means listen. Shut up. If you go into a room and you're the loudest one in the room, shut up. Shut the fuck up. I absolutely love that quote. It's one of my favorites since I've been doing this podcast, 199 different conversations. Never miss an opportunity to shut the fuck up. Just sit back, listen, take notes. The loudest guy in the room is never the guy you want to be. I've been that guy before, and you make an ass out of yourself. Take notes, be a student, ask questions. Shut up and listen, especially if you're married. Shut up and listen to your wife, especially if you have kids. Shut up and listen to your kids. Ask any good father that you know that has kids that can actually talk. They're not newborns like mine. What's the key to getting to understand your kids? Listen to them. Listen to them. They want to be heard. Shut up. Hey, how do you and your wife communicate so well? I listen to her. Don't listen to respond. Listen to understand. And if you don't understand, ask questions. Never miss an opportunity to shut the fuck up. I absolutely love that quote from Bo Ryan. That's one of the more recent, better ones that we've had. They're all good, but Bo Ryan, he's done some things. And again, that's episode 182. Kind of flying through these. I was hoping to elaborate a little bit more on them, but I got stuff to do. Where are we at? 5 minutes? I've already given you guys 2 lessons. Okay, maybe I'll slow it down and try to elaborate a little bit more. Lesson number 3. Vulnerability isn't weak. It shows self-awareness and strength. So really quick, you guys can pause this after I tell you these episodes, but these are must listens if you listen to this show. And I'll start from the bottom. Episode 130 with Isaac Ailman. Episode 136 with Jay Nickel. Episode 170 with Lucas O'Hara. And episode 175 with Jesse Phillips. All 4 of those dudes, these are just off the top of my head, came on this podcast and absolutely spilled their fucking guts all over the pod. They, especially Jesse Phillips, he said stuff on this podcast that I don't think he's told a majority of people in his life. What was unique about, let's say, 3 of those podcasts is that 3 of them in particular don't really do podcasts. But they chose to come on this podcast because, going back to lesson number 1, I humanized them. When I reached out to them, and all 3 of these guys have pretty big social media followings, when I reached out to them, I didn't come off as a fan. And I'll never do that. I'll never come off as a fan. But I reached out. Jesse, what's up, man? I enjoy your stuff. I don't really know a heck of a lot about you. I think a conversation between the 2 of us could help and benefit a lot of people. If you'd like to come on this platform and tell your story, I'd love to have you. Let me know, and we'll get it on the schedule. Boom. And we did. And that dude never does podcasts. I can almost guarantee you he's never done one since. Or he hasn't done one since. Lucas O'Hara, I think, has done 1 podcast since mine, and that was months and months ago. And then before that, it's been years since he did a podcast. Isaac Ailman hardly does any. And this isn't to hey, say, look at me. These are just dudes, just like you and I that are listening. If you're listening to the podcast, you're just a dude, just like me, and just like the guests that I've had on this show. But all 3 of these guys kind of come off as, at least Jesse and Lucas, no offense, Isaac, kind of come off as big, tough, brute men. But they're not. They're big teddy bears. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible. They came on here and they were vulnerable. Jesse cried on this show. Lucas was saying stuff that he's never told a big audience. And then when you tie in lesson number 2, shut up. As a host, I just shut up and let them speak. You guys aren't here for me. You're here for the people that come on this show. If you have a podcast, and I'm trying to put you guys on a little bit of game, shut up. Nobody wants to hear you talk. You'll know when it's appropriate to respond or give your 2 cents. But you're asking somebody to take time out of their day and out of their life and away from their families and their jobs to come on your show and tell their story. Let them tell their story. I think a lot of hosts mess that part up. Even Rogan still messes that up. And I still mess it up sometimes. But Rogan had Jack Carr on, who I've also had on the show a week or 2 ago. And I listened to that podcast, and Rogan went on like a 20-minute rant before Jack could even say anything. I'm like, dude, shut up. And it's weird for me to critique that guy, but if you host a show, you need to understand the art of conversation. So when you listen to other people's podcasts, see how the host speaks. See how he intervenes and plugs himself in when it's appropriate. Bam Marshall, good friend of mine, host of the Wild Chaos podcast. He does a great job hosting. He just shuts up and lets people tell their stories. So going back to the original lesson of number 3, If you're vulnerable and you express feelings, men don't talk. I think that's wrong, which is why I've kind of am in the line of work that I'm in now. We talk about things. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that you're soft. It doesn't mean that you're a pussy. It means that you're strong and that you're self-aware of what's going on. You know that you have issues that you need to fix. You know that by talking about things that are maybe upsetting to you, that will make you feel better because you can't bottle things up. And if it means coming on a podcast to talk about it and know that thousands of people are going to listen to it, so be it. But that's a way of working through trauma. And I think that's extremely important. So if you're vulnerable, that doesn't mean that you're a pussy. It doesn't mean that you're weak or anything like that. It means that you are very in tune with who you are and what you've been through. And by telling maybe trauma-filled events in your life, talking about those will help people. That's why I do this show. I don't know who it's helping, but I know it's helping. I know it's helping hundreds, if not thousands of people. And not all of those people I know about. I know I've helped people that don't even reach out to tell me that conversation with said guest has helped them or motivated them to get better in a certain aspect of their life. Social media gives each and every one of you guys a voice, and it's up to you to use that voice for good or bad. I try to use mine for good, and I try to have people on this podcast that want to use their platform and their voice for good. So we talk about it. If you haven't checked out those episodes with Isaac, Jay, Lucas, and Jesse, they're 4 of my favorites since 4 years of doing this. They're very, very good, and they're all 4 great, really, really great guys. Okay. Lesson number 4. The team always comes before you. Your wife should always come before you. Your kids should always come before you. And I got this one from former U.S. Navy SEAL Trevor Thompson. That is episode 168. When he was in the SEAL teams, it was always, and this is how he classified it, the team, then being a teammate, and then self. That's what I titled the episode, Team, Teammate, Self. That was the order in which he lived his life. Team first, being a good teammate second, and then worry about yourself after that. And I wanted to bring this up as lesson number 4 because a lot of y'all that listen to the show are married. And I think wife should come first, kids should come first, and then you. A lot of you guys are part of teams, whether it be if you're in the corporate world or if you're working any other type of job. I mean, there's a million different jobs out there, but it should always be about the team. I've worked for 2 different police departments. One of them was about the team. The other was backwards, and it was about self first. If it's about self first, there's never going to be any type of team atmosphere. Therefore, camaraderie is in the crapper. And then it also makes going to work every day miserable. But if you put the team first, and then you focus on being a good teammate second, and then you worry about yourself third, I think you're doing yourself a solid. Because I've been about myself first, and that's just not the right way to go about it. And you know that. At least I hope you guys know that. You know that going the lone wolf approach where it's yourself first, you don't worry about anybody else, you don't have any other goals regarding a team setting, I think you're fucking yourself. That's so annoying. I don't know who's banging on that. So episode 4 with Trevor Thompson, this dude has done some things. Or not episode 4, lesson 4, episode 168 with Trevor Thompson. This dude has done some motherfucking things. Okay, on to the next one. Lesson number 5. In my opinion, and keep in mind, I'm very biased, this is probably the top 5 in terms of most impactful episodes that I've ever done. Episode 121 with Dakota Meyer. And this individual has also done some things. If you don't know who Dakota Meyer is, you need to look him up. One of, before I get into the lesson, really quickly, I edit all my own episodes. So when you're working with audio, it is like wave links in terms. So like when you have a file, it's like a wave, and you can see his audio is like nice and level the whole way, and then halfway through the audio levels spike because he just starts yelling for basically the back half of the podcast, which is one, hilarious, and two, shows the dude's passion. I mean, he does not fuck around in any aspect of his life, and he didn't fuck around on the podcast either. So, one of my favorite quotes, along with never miss an opportunity to shut the fuck up, this one came from Dakota, and he has this saying, if you can, you must. What does that mean? If you're in a position to do something, you must do it. It's as simple as that. If you can do something, if you're willing, and excuse me, not willing, if you're able to go to the gym, you must go to the gym. If you're able to help a stranger on the street, you must help a stranger on the street. You can think of this in any aspect of life. If you're capable, if you can do something, you have to do it. You must do it. Not maybe, you must do it. I have really, really started implementing that quote in my day-to-day life. And I think that episode was recorded darn near 2 years ago. And my life is drastically improved. I've always had a good life, but when I've started not negotiating with myself, it's like, you can do that. You must do that. And in my life, I look at it more so in taking care of other people. If I can help this person, I must help this person. I was so bummed, dude. I was at, I took my wife to this like Oktoberfest type thing here in town, and we were waiting in line for like this coffee, little stand-up coffee shop. And this lady was behind us. She had, I think, 3 or 4 kids. She's like, what do you guys want? And they're like, oh, we want this energy drink soda thing. And 60 seconds into them popping in behind us in line, I didn't say anything to my wife. I didn't say anything to anybody else. I just turned around, looked at them. Single mom, clearly, 3 kids. I was like, oh, I'm buying their drinks. 100%. I'm buying their drinks. I didn't tell my wife. Wasn't trying to impress anybody. I was like, I'm 1000% buying their drinks. Long of the short, they ended up getting out of line because the line was taking forever, and then they went and did something else, and I was extremely bummed about it because I wanted to buy their stuff, and there was nobody else behind them to buy their stuff. Or actually, it was a guy, and I wasn't about to buy this guy. I like the single mom thing. That's kind of my jam. I mean, I'm not saying this to act like I'm all cool. I'm telling you this to give you an example, is that I'm in a position to be able to do things like that. Therefore, I must do things like that. I do stuff like that multiple times a week, and I don't tell my wife. I don't tell anybody. I don't get on this podcast or make an Instagram post or film the thing. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm in a position to be able to do things like that for people. Therefore, I must. If you can, you must. And I highly encourage you, if you take anything away from the first 4 lessons or this one or the last 2, make it this quote. Go back on the Nock Performance podcast and listen to episode 121 with one of the most badass mother scratchers you will ever listen to, that being Dakota Meyer. He is the man. Listen to that podcast and then send it to a friend and then listen to it again. And then when he starts talking about if you can, you must start doing that in your life. And it doesn't have to be buying things for people. I do that because I can, and also selfishly, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel very happy when a single mom smiles and says, why are you doing this? It's because I want to. You don't have to do this. I know I don't have to. I want to do this. This makes me feel good. I did it. I do it all the time for no recognition, for nothing, because I simply must. I have to do it. You take care of your people, and God will give you everything else in return. That's the mindset that I have. I'm not telling you to do anything. Just give it a shot. If you're in a position to do something, you must do it. God will take care of you from there. How do you know this, Tyler? Because he takes care of me. And if he takes care of me, he'll take care of you. You just have to put a little bit of effort in. God doesn't want to do everything. You have to participate as well. He'll take care of you and he'll lead you. But you have to put forth some effort. You can't just pray, and take zero action and expect God to hand you everything. That's not how that works. As much as I think a lot of us wish that it did, it doesn't. He doesn't want to do all the work. You have to do some too. And you have to work together. Episode 121 with Dakota Meyer. That was lesson 5. Lesson 6. I guess we'll do a little story time here. So, being vulnerable with you guys, it took me 1.5 years to scratch the surface and feel as if I was getting somewhat decent at doing a podcast. And I'll give you an example. The episode that I remember like yesterday, where I finally thought, hey, I think I'm getting kind of good at this. It was episode 80 with a gentleman named Hector Rodriguez, who is a great guy. He's an ultra runner. I was interviewing a lot of ultra dudes at the time because I enjoyed that at the time. And what stood out was my choice questioning. I thought I did a very good job of questioning the guy and just pitching him questions. And then number 2, not cutting him off and letting him just speak. Not trying to get my airtime. Early on in podcasting, I would catch myself trying to get my airtime. No. If I wanted my airtime, I would do a solo episode every week. But I don't do that because I don't care about airtime. I want to give people a platform and hear stories and learn. But after episode 80 concluded, I had a studio in my basement at the time. I darn near sprinted up the stairs to the main level, ran into the bedroom, and this was an evening podcast. It was dark out, and I hardly ever do evening podcasts anymore. But this was an evening podcast. And my wife's like, how did it go? I was like, I think I'm figuring it out. She's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I crushed that pod. She's like, how? I was like, I had good questions. I let him talk. Like, it just felt really good. He seemed very comfortable. I was stoked. And that was 1.5 years into doing pods. If you've been following it for a long time, you know that I used to drop every Monday. So it's only 1 episode a week. Now I just drop them whenever. Like, you got 2 last week. You're getting 2 this week. So I'm all over the map. But at that point, it was 80 straight weeks of podcasting until I felt like I was getting the hang of it. And I'll never forget that episode ever, because it felt really good. And it didn't feel forced. I didn't feel like I was being selfish. I was giving the guest a platform. The reason I bring this up is that it's going to take you, in my opinion, 1.5 years. It's not a ton of time, but it's not a few hours either. It's not a couple weeks. It is a long time, semi-long time. Whatever it is that you do, you're not going to be good at it at the start. You're honestly probably going to freaking suck at it. I sucked at doing a podcast. I did. And I keep using the example of a podcast because I'm doing a podcast. And I'm proud of myself because I've done 200 episodes. And I think the majority of podcasts do like 7, or like a fair share of them. They do 7 episodes and they have pod fade. And then they're like, wow, this requires a lot of work and the production and finding guests or finding topics to talk about and being consistent. This is really hard. And then people just throw the towel in. So for me to do 200, I'm proud of that. Very much proud of that. But it wasn't always like that, man. It took me a long time to actually get good at it. I think my first episode that I ever recorded had like 2 downloads for the whole month. Think about that. 2 people listened to it. One of them was probably my wife, and the other one was probably my dad. 2 downloads for a month? It's unbelievable. That's so terrible. Not only are the statistics terrible, but the actual conversation was horrible. I sucked. Absolutely sucked. Terrible. Regardless of what it is that you choose to do, if it's something new, you're not going to be very good at it. That's the point. You're going to feel embarrassed. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to not want to show up. You're going to not want to continue to put the work in. You're going to look at somebody else doing the exact same thing at a very high level and be like, I'm never going to get there. You're going to have negative self-talk. You're going to doubt yourself. You're probably going to quit and then maybe hopefully come back to it. You're going to have no idea what it is that you're doing. And you're going to stink at it for an extended freaking period of time. A long time. But if you stick with whatever it is long enough, you're going to improve. In my case, when it comes to, like I said, the example of podcasting, almost 500 days. Probably more than that, whatever a year and a half is, however many days that is. 80 weeks until I was like, man, I think that was decent. And what's funny is that I think the one before that, 79, I was like, that felt kind of good. And then 80, I thought I knocked it out of the park. And I could probably go back and listen to it. I haven't listened to it. I never listened to any of my podcasts back. It's probably terrible in my eyes. But at the time, it felt really, really good. It felt darn good. So I was very proud of that. The main lesson with lesson number 6 is that you have to put time in. And you have to do it over and over and over again and just get a little bit better with each episode or with each day or with each post or with each conversation or with each rep or with each session. Whatever it is that you're doing, get a tiny bit better and eventually it'll click. Or at least it'll start to click. And then you should have a whole new resurgence of, I remember why I started doing this. This is what I was hoping for. I'm starting to feel as if I'm understanding it now. I think I'm getting better. I know that I'm getting better because I'm working hard and I'm consistent and I'm just flat out fucking going for it. That's all I want with the voice that I have on social media is for guys and gals to just fucking go for it. Don't care what it is. Open up a sandwich shop if you've always had a dream of that. Start your own media company. Open up a food truck. Don't care. Do laptop repairs. I just want you guys to go for it, man. The last lesson would be number 7. And this kind of ties almost back into lesson number 1 in regards to, in lesson number 2. But lesson number 7 is a big one. And I've not only learned this through doing 199 episodes, but I've also learned this since being married. Shit, I don't even think I was married when I started this podcast. August. I was married for a month when I started this podcast. Yeah, I had no idea. But the lesson is that listening is a skill. It is an acquired skill. If you're married, I'm going to use this example because I know that everybody has been there. Let's say you and your wife are having a conversation and maybe she's a little bit upset regarding whatever it is. And you keep freaking interrupting her. You're not listening to understand. You're listening to respond. And that is bad. That is not going to bode very well for you. How do you know this, Tyler? Because I've been there. And I have no intention at times to understand. I'm, in quotations, listening to win. I want to win the conversation. I want to win the argument. No, No, because half the time with females, and I don't really know a whole lot about women apart from they really just want to be heard. They want to be understood. And even if you don't understand, advise them that you don't understand, and then ask, what can I do to better understand? Hey, I don't know exactly how you're feeling. I can't put myself in your shoes, but I'm there for you. That's all they want to hear. And I am no marriage counselor. I am no marriage expert, but I'll tell you that my marriage is in a very good position right now. And it's in a better position today than it was yesterday, and than it was last month, and a year ago, and 3 years ago, and 4 years ago. It's in a way better spot because we are learning to communicate with one another. Ask anybody that's been married 10, 15, 20 plus years. I ask people on the podcast all the time, what's the secrets to marriage? Knowing damn well there's no secret to marriage. Communication is always one that comes up. Communication is huge. Same thing at your job, same thing with your kids, same thing with your boss. Communication. Same thing with your friends, family members, communication. Can't read minds. Listening is a skill. And if we want to revert it back to podcasting, when you have somebody on your platform, it is not about you. Again, it is not. If it was about you, just do solo episodes and tell everybody how great you are. You might not have a lot of listeners because nobody probably gives a shit. People want to hear the interesting people that you're having on your platform. Kind of ran through that one, but if you've ever listened to this show, if you've ever commented something nice on Instagram or left a review for the podcast, or even if you have listened to a few episodes and you've never expressed the fact that you listened to a few episodes to me, thank you. Thank you for listening. I started this journey on October 11th of 2021 with the sole intention of just talking about hunting with a friend at the time. Long and the short, that situation about 20 episodes in wasn't going to be sustainable. The other person didn't want to participate as much as I had hoped. Therefore, I had a choice to make. I really enjoyed doing this. I knew that I could talk to people, and I knew that I could have constructive conversations with the sole purpose of helping anybody that would choose to listen. And I know that I've done that. I know what the statistics are. There's thousands of people that listen every month. And if you're one of those people, I genuinely appreciate you being here and supporting the podcast. I hardly even make any money off the podcast, to be completely frank with you guys. I probably could, but I don't. I do this because it's fulfilling for me. It fills my cup. I'm a student. I want to learn, and I want to help. That's all that I want to do, and that's what I'll continue to do. This is not going nowhere. I've had a million different opportunities to throw the towel in with this podcast, and I've never done that. I got married. I've had a kid. I have a successful business. I have a million irons in the fire. I've had every opportunity to quit, but I haven't, and I'm not gonna. So once again, thank you. And cheers to the next 200 episodes. Y'all be good. Go bless somebody.